those learning experiences from just like complacency or just lack of preparation, or what do you think was the main takeaway?
I don't know, honestly. I think I was working my butt off. I just wasn't doing the right stuff. And like I said, I was worried about looking cool and doing cool things and having highly real goals instead of just putting the ball in the net. And I think if I learned that earlier on, I probably would have made those teams and would have been like in consideration with those guys as the top players in my class going in. So
you mentioned at the time, those were the kind of players you want to be. You want to, make the U19 team, be the best player in your area and everything. And now you're talking, hopefully you play pro in the future, and you look at someone like Connor, like kind of take things from their game. Looking forward, aspirations to play pro, what are kind of the things that you are still looking at yourself and like, I need to get better here? What are just some weaknesses in your game now that in order to play at the next level, obviously you don't know what's going to happen, but in your head now, what are things that you're kind of thinking about that you need to get better at and are working on a lot?
Yeah, there's a lot, honestly. The two that I'll pick out are two that are pretty obvious in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion. And the first one would be my vision and my kind of ability to get my teammates involved. I'm more of a goal scorer, I'd say, at this point. You look at my stat lines, and my buddies pick on me for it. I'll have like 30 points, whatever, and I'll be like 28-2. Yeah. So it's like I got to work on that for sure. I got to get other people involved and dodging my head up, and I'm working on it, and it's something that just comes through playing. So the more I play in the off season, the more I try to focus on that. And then the other is defense. I get picked on a lot for it, not being the best defensively. My defensive coordinator has headaches with me when I'm out there and get stuck, and he's actually told me, it's a funny story, if there's a situation where I'm stuck on the field and I could get off or I could get back on defense, but I look to the sidelines and there's a nuclear explosion on the sidelines because I want you diving headfirst into the nuclear blast. Like, I don't want you getting back on defense. So I'm that bad kind of at playing someone one-on-one, and I never really had to. In high school, I'd play offense, and we had TD, so he'd win the ball, and we'd go down and score, and then I'd go off, and he'd win the ball again, and I'd go on, and we'd score. And it's hard to guard somebody, so I definitely have to work on that, being a more complete midfielder and being able to play both ways.
We talk about, like, needing to get your head up more and just playing defense. Is there anything that you do or can do to work on that on your own, like while you're home, getting ready for next season before?
Yeah, I haven't necessarily this summer had the chance to play too much because of the virus, and there hasn't been any tournaments or anything, and Lake Placid just got canceled. So usually I play in men's leagues in the summers and go to Placid and do a couple things where I get to play and work on my game. And at those events, I'll definitely focus more on, because I don't, at this point, necessarily care about scoring goals at those things. It's more about working on the things I need to work on. So I'll go and try to focus on squeezing the ball in some tight lanes and passing and getting some apples. But I haven't this summer, so I need to figure out a way to kind of work on that more if I really want to develop that. And then defensively, just really working on it in practice and in men's league, trying not to let anyone score on you, and actually caring, because that's a big part of it for me. Is I have to care and like take it as a personal kind of thing, not to let someone score on me. Whereas in high school, I didn't really have that. When in college, if you don't care and you're out there on defense, your team's gonna smack you in the face. So those would be the two. I don't know. I just got to figure out ways to work on them. I still am yet to figure it out this summer, but I will at some point.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to work through. I remember, like, each year at Maryland, like, my position sort of changed. Like, my freshman year was, like, second line, and I just tried to be, like, a role player. Sophomore year, I was the initiator on the first line, and I just had to draw the slide. That was my biggest goal. And I think what changed, I had sort of the same stat line. I was just, like, goal scorer. So senior year, I had to change. And I sort of changed my dodging, where it was like I never focused on looking at the net. I don't know what it was. I would never look at the net whenever I dodged. I would look at the slide guy. That was the only guy I would stare at the whole time. Because then once I saw that, I could see the whole field on where everybody's plugging in, where's the support. And I think that's what helped me a ton, was just reading that slide. That's all I would look at whenever I'm dodging. I'm like, I'm not focused on this one-on-one. I know I could beat you. Focus on the slide guy. So that was my biggest sort of step in terms of getting that vision.
That's cool.
Piece was huge. But I guess